Alright, good morning YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be critiquing, constructing, and talking about a workout program that was submitted to me by a subscriber in the comments. So if you have questions about your own program, if you have questions about other programs that are out there in the universe, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to make videos covering them and discussing them with you and showing you my thought process in how to kind of adjust things and possibly make them better. So for this subscriber in particular, he doesn't like he mentioned that he never really followed a standard workout program or a well-known program, but the thing is, like, he's essentially created his own, and judging from the exercise selection so far, it looks fairly good. And so that just means, like, he was never really indoctrinated to believe starting strength is the best, 531 is the best, west side is the best. He just kind of wanted to train in a way that was, like, let's say, either might be convenient for him, might be enjoyable for him, and this probably matters way more than any program that exists out there. Oftentimes with these like cookie cutter programs, they're just meant to kind of shotgun their reach out there, like, reach as many people as possible, appeal to the average. Like, they're not really specialized in any type of way, they're not really individualized at all, because how could they be? And that's not a fault of the nature of the program, because even programs that I make that are released for free do the same thing. It's just more so that when you decide to not follow them, you have to go through this long, arduous process of experimentation and self-discovery. So he's reached out, wanted my opinion on certain things, and I'm more than happy to do so. So if you want me to do something for you as well, please let me know. But let's get into this subscriber's program. So he starts off by letting me know like what his typical rep ranges are for certain exercises, and he just says how for compound movements, so your squats, your benches, your deadlifts, probably even like the overhead press and the barbell row. I don't know if he included that the row in as a movement here, but it's 3 to 5 or 5 to 8 reps for compounds, which is great, and then 8 to 10 for isolation, and then around 3 to 4 sets. So this, in my opinion, is really, really good. So I'm not really much of a fan of super high volume training, like, at least for most people. I have, like, my opinion on it is somewhat, I mean, as with anything, is kind of like nuanced, but for the most part, I think lower volume training typically is better, only because since you're doing less overall amounts of sets, you're able to push the intensiveness or the intensity of each set higher. So the quality of each set is able to be higher as a result of there being less of them. Now, this becomes harder to do the more advanced you become, but I don't think he's like, very few people are advanced. Most people, like, it takes years and years and years of training to become advanced, so the necessity for them to do super high volume workouts isn't really there, just because, for example, the reason why you would do high volume if you are advanced is because think about how much weight you have to lift per set, and then are you going to take those sets to failure? It's not going to work out all that well for you. It's better to kind of like work a little bit underneath, but that's kind of a caveat that's not really applicable here. But as far as for the novice, the late novice, the early intermediate, and someone trying to advance into those later stages, this is a very nice, simple progression. Volume is low enough where you can push progression, push quality into all of these sets, and then go from there. So that's really good. And also, let's see, 3 to 5, great for compounds like the squat, bench, deadlift. 5 to 8, I would that's also really good for the bench, the squat, and the overhead press. 5 to 8 for the deadlift. Like, if I'm going to be going that high rep on the deadlift, I prefer to do a variation, such as a stiff leg, a Romanian, maybe pulling sumo, because when I talk about the deadlift, I'm usually referring to the conventional, because I'm a conventional fanboy. But so the sumo is an accessory to the conventional deadlift, in my opinion, but it depends on the person, and whatever they're comfortable with. But 5 to 8 is good for deadlift variations. Me personally, I prefer doing more sets, less reps on the deadlift, and building on my volume from there, just because the overall amount of weight you're lifting is going to be pretty high on that movement. 8 to 10 for isolation. Now, if you watch anything from the past 10 years, you'll know that there's like this huge, like, I guess, obsession with like what is the optimal rep range for hypertrophy. And the thing is like, it's very important to understand that hypertrophy occurs from 1 rep to 30 reps. It's just a matter of efficiency. And this, and while I do advocate that you train in the entire rep range, that's why I kind of like I advocate progressing through multiple rep ranges, such as 1 to 3, 2 to 5, 3 to 6, 4 to 8, 6 to 10, 8 to 12, and 10 to 15. Now, certain different exercises will fit themselves into them, but generally speaking, for isolation exercises, all of them will be just fine in 8 to 10. And here's the thing: because you're only doing 8 to 10 reps, you can lift more weight on it. You'll hit failure faster. You're gonna spend less time doing a set, and overall, that's gonna be fine. You're gonna build a good amount of muscle. Now, if you want to get a little bit more volume, then it's okay to do a bit lighter weight and then, go a bit higher into reps, but it just depends on the person. Me personally, for the first couple years of my training, I really hated high rep work, so I never did it. I didn't like. You should enjoy your training. You should include into your training what you can tolerate. If you can't enjoy it, at least tolerate it, like nothing should ever like leave you with a sour taste in your mouth of like the gym. Like to a reasonable degree, because it's like eating your vegetables. Sometimes there's just things you have to do. But anyway, 8 to 10 is great for isolation work, so that's fine. Then he mentions that he doesn't like having a dedicated leg day and a lower body day, and that is normal as well. If you are familiar with any of my programming, as like one thing you'll notice is that on my lower body day, it's essentially squat accessory, deadlift variation, and then maybe some isolation work for the leg, like hamstring curls or back extensions. But then the rest of it is like traps, rear delts, and biceps. Like essentially, I use like traps, rear delts, and biceps as like kind of like a buy-in, because those are very important muscles to me. Like I love training my traps. I think having big traps is really important as far as like my ideal physique goes. I think I do want to improve the size and shape of my biceps to whatever degree that I can. And then rear delts, I think, are just really important for like shoulder health, training longevity, and stuff of that nature. So because those three things are super important, hyper important, I make sure to put them in my lower body day, because now it's like shit. If I skip my lower body day, I'm now skipping trap work, I'm skipping rear delt work, I'm skipping bicep work. And the biceps are the most important muscle of the lower body, even though it's on the upper body. So that's why, me personally, my lower body days are just really squat days with a bunch of other shit, or deadlift days with a bunch of other shit. So he kind of wants me to restructure how he has this exercise selection, but let's go over that exercise selection first. So bench press and weighted dips, two great horizontal pressing movements. You will build a very good base of strength and size with just these two movements. Weighted chin-ups, very good as well. Overhead press, also very good, whether that's dumbbell, barbell, seated, standing, doesn't make that big of a difference. Barbell curl, amazing. Tricep cable extension and tricep pushdown. So I think here he's making the distinction of kind of doing it overhead, whereas here he's making the distinction of doing it more so like, push down. Back squat, great. Leg curl, calf raise, ab raise. So one thing I would say is missing is a hip hinge variation. And here's the thing: I'm making sure to say hip hinge, because it's important to note that there's no such thing as an exercise you have to do, but I do really recommend that you do every single movement pattern that the human body is capable of doing. So you can do Romanian deadlifts, you can do trap bar deadlift, you can do sumo, you can do whatever, like do something that involves some type of hip hinge. Good mornings, like dumbbell Romanian deadlifts, who cares? Like just do some type of hip hinge, just so that way you can build the hamstrings and the posterior chain from somewhere that inserts into the hip, because you have leg curls here, and that is where the hamstring inserts into the knee. So you're attaching the muscle from both sides, both angles, and you can go from there. Calf raises, good. Ab exercise, inverted rows on rings, and face pulls. So yeah, very good exercises. The only things that I would potentially add, let's see, let me put this in bold. Sorry, I know there's a keyboard shortcut, but whatever. Barbell or dumbbell row, maybe like even seated row, like that's fine. I don't know if he has access to like a home gym or a commercial gym, but some type of rowing beyond just body weight, because you can load inverted rows and you can do things to make them more difficult, but generally speaking, it's going to be harder to push progression on them, because at a certain point, the only thing you're going to be able to do is just add more reps, maybe add weight, and it's going to be kind of awkward because you're going to have to use like a backpack, a weighted vest, or something of that nature. Whereas barbell rows and dumbbell rows are a bit easier to load over time. Hip hinge movement. So hip hinge. So let's see. I mentioned RDL. I mentioned trap bar. I mentioned sumo, like conventional deadlift if possible, and yeah, go from there. Good mornings is another exercise. Good mornings, but go light on those. But now let's actually get into how I would set this up. Now, here he says he doesn't like having a dedicated leg day and lower body day. So that already throws into my mind that the best option is either a full body, which is what he said he was doing in his comment, or if he wants to give a little bit more love, attention, and get a better pump in certain muscles, a push-pull split. So this is something that I found years ago on T Nation from Christian Thibodeau, one of the few people who actually writes very well on that website. And it is a push-pull split. So push plus quads, and then, yeah, push plus quads, and then pull plus hamstrings. All right, so let's go with like a push day is going to be like your squat, followed by your bench press or weighted dip, then overhead press and triceps. Me personally, I would also throw in the face pulls here just to balance out the shoulders and, you know, keep them healthy. And then on the pull plus hamstring day, pull plus hamstrings, like you do a deadlift slash hinge variation followed by your row, or yeah, followed by your row, and then your let's see, weighted pull-up. Like you put that exercise in there, weighted pull-up. I suck at typing. Weighted pull-up, and then leg curl. So let me make sure that we actually got all of that put into the program, like, you know. So let's see. Bench, we put that in there. We put that in there. Overhead press is in there. Barbell curl, let's put that in there also. Let's see. Barbell curl. All right, that's taken care of. Let's see. Probably put calves in the push day. As well as the triceps. Back squats taken care of. Leg curls taken care of. Abs can go on both days. So, god damn it. Abs go on both days. You can do like obliques on the push day, and then lower abs and like the rectus abdominis like all on the push day or pull day, however you want to set that up. Inverted rows, like that can take the place of this right here, as well as of course like these two movements. So up to you how you want to do that, and then there. So yeah, that is how I would set up a split like this with these certain movements, and doing everything for 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 5 reps, pretty good. One thing I would like do as a, let's say, an adjustment is if you're doing, like, let's say you do have a home gym, right? And this is like what you're going to be doing on those days. There's really not much you can do, but just like really like keep track of like the weights you're using, make sure that you actually can recover from this, and then go from there. But let's say you have access to a commercial gym, as you progress into the workout, you know, just go on machines on everything else, just so that way your body has like a bit more time to rest and recover. Because after all this, like, you should be fairly tired, and then just do machines on everything else and you'll be good to go. So yeah, this is how I would structure your workout. And if anyone has like a similar aversion to a full leg day, this is a great way of doing it, because now it's just, squats, those will build your legs very well. Deadlifts will build your legs very well, and then you're going to round it out with some leg curls. And I don't think leg extensions are entirely necessary if leg hypertrophy isn't your goal. And even if it is, I think there's better exercises out there. But now you're just like, you squat, all right, cool, you cover that base, you do calves, you cover that base, and then everything else is upper body. Here you deadlift, and then you do your leg curls, then everything else is upper body. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. This is how I would personally train. This is how I used to train when I just really hated leg days and would always skip them. So this was how I got around that. But that's it for this video. If you have questions about your own program or programs that you want me to review, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. My name is KarelSaking, StanStrength.com. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.